Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a shoe review on a shoe that has been on my radar for quite some time now. And that's mainly because this shoe is one of the more affordable, faster shoes that you can get that still has a carbon plate in it. And it was actually designed to be used as a training / speedwork shoe in combination with the Nike Vaporfly Next%. And if you guys have watched my channel, you know I'm a huge fan of the Next%. So it definitely had me intrigued about these shoes. But the shoes that I'm going to be reviewing today are the Nike Zoom Fly 3. And I've actually ran in the previous two versions of this shoe. I've raced in the second version, and I wasn't really a fan of either of the two versions, to be honest. So that's why I hadn't picked these up until now. I think these actually came out about this time last year, so it's not like they're super new or anything, but I just wanted a new shoe to mess around with. You know, it's quarantine and all the races are closed, so I've been just trying to improve my speed without running in the Next% and, you know, running my miles through those. But this shoe is a shoe that has a carbon plate and is very different, and I will talk about that after we look at the tech specs on the B-roll, so let's roll it. Okay, so these are my Zoom Fly 3s in the platinum and blue colorway. They weigh 9.65 ounces in a men's size 10, so they're probably a little bit heavier in my size 11. These shoes have an 11mm offset with a 34mm stack height in the back and a 23mm stack height in the front. As you can see here, they have some nice cushion pads around the ankle to allow for a little bit better cushion at higher speeds. And then the great thing about this shoe is that it uses a full-length Nike React midsole, which allows it to be cushioned and responsive, but also lightweight and durable at the same time. And then as you can see here, the heel tapers away from the back of the foot, which relieves stress on the back of your Achilles tendon when you're going at those higher speeds. And then obviously this shoe has a carbon plate inside the midsole, which allows it to expand and contract at higher speeds, giving you maximum energy return. And then the lacing system on this shoe is called an arch band, which is designed to take pressure off of your instep when you're going faster. And then the entire top of this shoe is basically like an inner sleeve or second sock that forms bits to your foot. So one thing to be aware of, but overall an extremely fast shoe. Now that we looked at that riveting footage, if you guys remember my last video, I'm going to score these shoes based on 4 categories, which is value, comfort, energy return, or responsiveness, it's kind of the same thing, and weight. So starting off with weight, these weigh 9.65 ounces in a men's size 10, as I had mentioned. I obviously wear a size 11 if you've seen any of my videos, so a little bit different there. But in terms of weight, I actually think they're pretty light. They feel heavier in your hand than they actually do on your foot, which is kind of weird, but they're only a ½ ounce lighter than the Next%, and if you're going to use these as a training shoe in conjunction with this, coming off of this shoe to this shoe is going to feel even lighter. So I think they're actually pretty good in terms of weight, especially with all the stuff they have going on. I mean, they have a 34mm stack height in the back, so that's a lot of material. But if I had to give them a rating 0 to 10 just based on weight, for what they are, I would probably give them a 9.2 on the weight, on a weight rating. And then moving from weight in terms of comfort, this shoe's really weird to me because when I took them out on my first test run, like the first 2 miles in this shoe, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna hate this shoe. But as I started running faster and further into my run, I actually thought they were more comfortable. So I actually do think they're very comfortable, surprisingly. The whole thing about this shoe that blows my mind is they're called the Nike Zoom Fly 3. Why wouldn't you use Zoom X foam in the midsole? They used React foam, and because they used React foam, I actually think it's a more comfortable ride than some of the other shoes with Zoom X, like the Pegasus Turbo. I'm actually going to be using this shoe as my speedwork shoe now over this shoe. Like, I just did not like the way this shoe felt. It is hard as a rock. On the stiffness scale, I would 0 to 10, with 10 being max stiffness. This is probably, like, without exaggeration, a 9.5 on the stiffness, and this is like a 4. So I was just a bigger fan of this. And other than that, the heel goes up on here, so it's not digging into the back of your Achilles like the Pegasus Turbo 2. They have the arch band, which they always name some new lacing system. That's what they're calling this one. I think it's very comfortable. I had no problems with my foot going to sleep. And then they have this kind of inner sock almost. It's the same, if you guys have ever ran in the Nike React Shields, it's the same inner lining as that. which I'm actually a big fan of. Most of the time I like to have a separate tongue, but in this case, oddly enough, I do like the way this is. And they have this, the whole way the shoe's designed, it's designed to be breathable and water repellent at the same time. So they just knocked it out of the park in terms of comfort for me. I've read that some people don't like it because it's tall and narrow and their heel slips around. I didn't have that problem at all. I also wear Nike Elite Cushion Cruise socks, so they're a little bit thicker. I didn't have that problem. I thought these shoes were very comfortable. I ripped around in them. I took them on a range of paces from 650 all the way down to I think like 540, and they felt awesome. So in terms of comfort, they get a 9.5 from me. And then in terms of energy return, I would say the energy return is amazing in these. The carbon plate in the React foam is so interesting to me because I always thought the React foam, if you guys have seen my other video about my favorite daily runners, the Nike Epic React Flyknit 2, I'm a huge fan of the way the energy return feels in those, and that's just straight React foam. So when they add a carbon plate, it adds more flexibility and more responsiveness to an already responsive material. I thought it felt amazing. I think it particularly feels better at faster speeds. I would never take these shoes on a slow run. I can't imagine myself running anything above a 7:30 pace in this. That would probably feel awful. But that's on the slower side for me. If whatever fast is for you, I think they would feel good if you're running fast in these. These just felt better and more secure at faster speeds, oddly enough for me. So, but the responsiveness, the energy return, I would say is very high. The React foam in combination with the carbon plate. And it's got the same bottom as the Next Percent, which is weird. You would think that considering they were modeling after this shoe, they would use Zoom X, but it's very responsive and it feels very good. So I would give that a high 9, probably like a 9.4. And then in terms of value, what you're getting, I have to give it a high rating here because this is a $250 shoe that has a carbon plate. Obviously this is designed specifically for racing, but you could probably race in these too, and they're $160. And most of the time you can get them on sale like I did for $130 or even less in some cases. So for that, I would say definitely they get high marks. I think the Hoka Carbon X is around the same price point as this. And I'm not sure about those Sauconys or some of the ones that use nylon plates, but they're definitely on the more expensive side. I think this is a good price for $160. You're getting a lot of shoe here. And there's so much going on with this shoe. That is another thing I wanted to talk about. They have a mesh under a vapor weave top, so there's 2 layers of material. So it allows your foot to breathe, but also keeps it water repellent. That's awesome. The lacing system is really cool because it doesn't, you don't have any problem points with other ones. The lacing system on the Turbo 2 is fine. But on some shoes, they just draw too tightly across the top of my foot. Definitely don't have a problem with these. The stack height in the back, 34 millimeters. These have 35. So it's pretty much maxed out in terms of cushion in the back, and it's got an 11 millimeter drop, so it sits at a pretty good angle. I like the way it feels. I think it overall is a really solid shoe. As I was saying though, like when I started out my run, I was really worried because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like these, but as I got faster in my run and as I put more miles on, they felt better. So I'm gonna definitely be using these shoes as my speed work shoe and keeping the Pegasus 37s as my long daily ones, and then these obviously in the Alpha Flies for racing. I was using the Turbo 2s as my speedwork shoe, but as I said, they just felt like I was running on a brick or something. They were so stiff and hard, and this is kind of more what I was looking for in a speedwork shoe. And considering how similar these are to the Next Percent and honestly the Alpha Fly, they're pretty similar to that as well. I think it'd be a natural transition for me to go from using these as my speedwork shoe to using these as my racing shoe. So if you're in a similar situation as me with this rotation of shoes, I would say this shoe would work out extremely well for you. If you're a slower runner or if you have a wider foot, I would say steer clear of this shoe. I've definitely heard that people with wide feet don't like these shoes because they're narrow and tall. That's like my profile, so that fits me perfectly. But if I'm gonna give them an overall rating, I would say I'm gonna give them a 9.5. I did not expect to give this shoe a 9.5. I hated the Zoom Fly 2. I ran a race in it once and sent them back. I did not like them. The Zoomfly 1 I actually did like a little bit more, but the second ones I did not like. So I really wasn't expecting to like this shoe or to give this such a high rating, but I'm a big fan. And you got to be aware of how much is of all the stuff that's going on in this shoe though. So there's so much stuff going on in this shoe that like one of the things could, you know, be the deal breaker for someone. I've read that some people, you know, they don't like the inner pad lining on the ankle. Some people didn't like how it felt like there was too much space between their back of the heel and the back of the shoe. I didn't really have any of those problems, so for me it worked out extremely well. I would say if you can get them on sale, it's definitely worth it. And if you can get them from a place where you can return them if they don't work out for you, that might be a better idea. But I actually bought them with the intent of maybe returning them because I thought they might not work out, but I'm gonna keep them and I'm gonna be using them for my Speedwork shoes. So if that's any indication of how much I like them, I hope that kind of gives you guys a good idea of what I think of the shoe. So with that being said, that's really all I have today. I'm pleasantly surprised with these shoes. Honestly, I'm going to be using them quite a bit, and they look super cool too, so I'm very excited about them. But I hope you guys enjoy that, and have a great time. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.